impromptu
I know.
speaking portion of the meeting. Our
2 minutes
table
in heaven is
topics
better than 1
master.
minute. Did you ever see that?
Please be seated, Mrs. Konopkin.
Point of order, sir.
Yes.
Did we get a timer's report?
Nope, we
No.
didn't.
No, we did not.
Yet. Nope. 6 minutes and 49 seconds for Doug, but 8 minutes and 18 for David. So unfortunately, only Doug qualified.
Our vote counters to be advised that her services are not needed. And I think that probably means that Doug is not qualifying for the grand prize. Although that's your discretion.
What do you mean?
What do they mean?
You mean David,
David.
right?
David, you mean? Oh, okay.
David, Doug, they're all D's to me. We got, yes, okay. Oh, I'm the tabletop master today.
All right, wait a minute.
Who distracted me? When I saw the theme, School's Out for Summer, my first thought was, this is Toastmaster, school's never out. But then I remembered that I think all of us were in other schools that did let out for summer, or should have. So I'm gonna be calling on a few of you. Our guests have the option of participating, and I'll ask you after you've done a few, after you've heard a few of these. The intention at any Toastmasters meeting that everyone in attendance, guests and members, have an opportunity to speak. But I'm gonna call on a few members first. The Alice Cooper song, School's Out for Summer, School's Out Forever. There's a verse in there. We got no class, we got no principles, we got no innocence, we can't even think of a word that rhymes. So tell us about when you got out of school and use a word that, a few used words that rhyme. Jim. Please use the word of the week. Kismet.
It was kismet that I left school. I did. Oh, my spouse loved school. I hated it so much. It was a torturous time. Teachers didn't understand learning disabilities, which I had in abundance. I had not developed my own method of study yet, but I eventually did. It was a book that I read, I can't remember if it was Think and Grow Rich. It was one of those books, and they were talking about if you would just study a little bit every day, what that would add up to after, a month, a year, whatever. I thought, well, that sounds like a good idea, because I tend to study on things that I'm just drawn to anyway. Currently, aerodynamics, astrophysics, quantum mechanics. Don't ask me why I'm drawn to these things, but they're fascinating. I have studied I averaged it out a couple of years ago. It was about 53 minutes a day since I was about 19. So I would stack that up with a PhD, I'm guessing, for the amount of time spent with your nose jammed in the crack of a book for who knows how long. I find it fascinating. I don't believe in the principle that school's out and you never crack another book. Unfortunately, most people do that. I think that's a downfall of our academic system. If our teachers knew how to make learning fun, people would continue to learn. If people find learning abhorrent, they're not exactly drawn to continue that activity far beyond when you're forced to do it. So, better crop of teachers, culled from a more creative aspect of academia, possibly more along the creative arts rather than just the functional knowledge, that might tip the advantage over back into us, where we are no longer at the top of the chain for academics worldwide anymore, but who said we couldn't get back there if we tried?
I remember my summers growing up, probably between the ages of 8 and 14. It was about 9 o'clock. We were allowed to go see our friends or have friends come to your house. Many days of board games, sports, occasionally a trip to the beach, although I never really liked the beach that much. Tell us what your summers were like, Moto.
Summers are like when I was a kid or right now?
Anytime.
Okay. Kiss meet. I learned this morning. I love it. Great. We wanna have a good kiss meet every day.
Yeah.
Summer is coming. I got married last year. My spouse is teacher. And this is my first time I am having teachers as my spouse. Ding, ding. I hate, no. So my spouse has 2 months off. Why? And then they get paid. Why? But they, we have this discussion a lot. But they get paid, but their annual salary is already fixed. So they just divide by 12. So, which means they get free money. They still get, money for other things. So think about it. If you make 100,000 a year, they just divide by 12. So they just allocate 12 months. And then my spouse has time right now. I told her, that's not good because I need to go to work, I need to go to school. But I changed my perspectives. I love it because now I ask my spouse, oh, by the way, when I come home, you have to clean the house. Oh, maybe you can start painting out of our house. Oh, you may start doing laundry. I thought I hate summer because my spouse doesn't need to go to work. This summer I'm going to change my perspective. I love it because my spouse does everything for me. So when I get home, I can be treated as a king. This summer I'm going to be like a king.
Moto, once an accountant, always an accountant. Your allocation of his salary is very good. Would our guests like to participate?
Sure.
Okay, here's your question. It's become a cliche of movies and stories that you get back to school and you get an essay assignment, how I spent my summer vacation. I have never written such an assignment. I don't recall my children ever writing one. In fact, I don't know anyone who's ever written one. Did you ever write an assignment about how I spent my summer vacation? And if you hadn't, what would it have contained?
Don't forget the word.
Ah, Kismet.
Thank you.
With that one, I can't tell if it would be good or bad Kismet because typically growing up in Arizona, the summers were too hot to do anything. So getting an assignment like that, which I had a couple times, was bittersweet because it would be good Kismet because you have to reflect on everything. But the bad part was typically you couldn't really go outside until I don't know, like 8 o'clock or so. It was just too hot. So a lot of time was spent, you know, on the computer or playing video games with my friends, but you can't really write a great essay on that. So it got a little awkward because there was the scramble at the end to, you know, find something intriguing to do and write about at the end of the summer. Typically that would involve a lot of bike rides out into, you know, the desert, or, you know, try to find something fun to do with airsoft guns, you know, dangerous boy stuff. And you also can't write about that. So typically it would be a lot like this, where you come up and make an impromptu speech, you know, hope they buy it, and, you know, that's pretty much all I got.
All right.
On grad night, Disneyland would open up all night and have a party for the graduates of a lot of the Southern California high schools, including one I went to. I went home that night and listened to a baseball game. So tell us what you did the night you graduated from high school at David Stone.
The night I graduated from high school, I'm really good at deleting events from my past.
Me too.
And I've been learning that actually it's a superpower. And I'm going to talk a little bit about educated versus school, because a lot of times we can be very educated, but we don't have to go to school. Or we can go to a lot of school and we're not that educated. And I think it's also how we look at things. We can change the meaning of our past. So, for instance, if we have good kismet because we did something good or something happened to us, and we said, I have good kismet right now. Or something happens to us, man, I have bad kismet. Really what we have to do is change the meaning of that. Bad kismet can be good kismet if we change the meaning of that situation. And that comes from being educated on life rather than just going to school. In school, I was really good at getting good grades because I would learn what the teachers wanted and I would get it to them. But life experience has taught me how to become educated. And you don't even have to go to school to be educated, but you have to be a constant student. Being a constant student is, what do you want to learn? We don't even ask ourselves that question. We just sometimes learn whatever our job tells us to learn. The big question is, what do you want to learn? Once you ask yourself that question and start answering it, now you can set some cool goals that are going to be super exciting to you, and you can take the daily action steps necessary to get them. So be educated, not just schooled.
For the benefit of our guests and I guess everyone else, that is a good example of how you can give a great table topic without actually answering the question. Do I have time for one more?
Sure, go for
Okay.
it.
I got my master's degree in May of 1989, and one thing I remember after I got the degree, it's right in the middle of the NBA playoffs. I watched a lot of basketball that spring. I was reminded of this when earlier our pledge master expressed her preference for the Toronto Raptors in the NBA playoffs. But this is a very diverse club and we have diverse opinions, so please offer a rebuttal, Yolanda.
This is Rhoda Kismet. I have an opportunity to tell you about the Warriors. Now, I have been a Warriors fan since I've been in college. And I graduated out of college in 1975. So my history of the Warriors has always been very dramatic, very intuitive, and they show people how to play basketball. They show other teams how to play basketball. And they challenge other teams to play basketball. They play good basketball. Will they always win? Absolutely not. But they challenge other teams to be better than who they are. Everybody does mistakes. you can see every single high-end basketball player has their mistakes in it. But if you want to vote for somebody, and you want to say who you would like to win, it would have to be the Warriors for us. I was at an improv activity with my daughter. It was a bar. And guess what? They had the basketball game for. It was in Chicago. Guess who they were rooting for? It wasn't Toronto. When I came out after the improv session, there was 2 minutes left. What was gonna happen? What was I gonna do? I sat back and I said, whatever they do is fun. As soon as they won, I said, oh, yay, Warriors!
The Warriors are so good that they've been able to survive a coach from U of A. Madam Timer, can we get a timer's report?
All of the participants qualified except for Jan, who went a little.
I have to hold on to the record. May we get a word master's report?
All speakers use the word kismet
So,
and use
okay.
it correctly.
Oh. I don't think it's a requirement that you use it correctly, but that's good to know. May we get a vote for the best table topic? Everyone qualified except Mr. Norman. Our ballot collector is collecting ballots. What a good thing for a ballot collector to do. Madam Toastmaster,
Could you go over the names again, maybe?
the names were,
Moto, Austin, David, and Yolanda.
thank you. Madam Toastmaster.